In this first problem, we can see that we have a parallelogram, and we have to find both the length of BC and the length of BD. So let's start off by finding the length of BC. We can see that it's represented as 3x minus 2. And we also need to remember that in a parallelogram, the opposite sides will be congruent. So what that tells us is that the length of BC will be equal to the length of AD. And now if we substitute 3x minus 2 for the length of BC and x plus 4 for the length of AD, we can solve this equation pretty quick. We're going to subtract x from both sides. That'll leave us with 2x minus 2 equals 4. We'll add 2 to both sides, and that means that 2x equals 6, which would tell us that the x is equal to 3. Now the length of BC is going to be 3 times 3 minus 2, which is going to be equal to 9 minus 2, which is 7. Just to kind of verify, if we think about the length of AD, having the x value there being 3, 3 plus 4 would also give us 7, so that sounds like it's probably a pretty good answer, because it gives us 7 for both the length of BC and the length of AD. Now next it says find the length of BD. Well, I know that the length of this part of segment BD is x plus 2. And so if I substitute my 3 in there, that would be 3 plus 2, which is 5. So this part from here to here, right, that has a length of 5. But I need to remember that in my parallelograms, these diagonals are bisecting each other. So this diagonal segment AC cuts the other diagonal, segment BD, into 2 equal parts. So if this part of it is 5, then this part over here would be 5 as well. And so the length of BD would be equal to 5 plus 5, which is 10. In our second example, we can see another parallelogram. And this time we have to find the measure of angle WXY, so that would be this angle here, and the measure of angle XYZ, which would be that angle right there. And we're given this angle, which is WZY. So what we have to remember is that in our parallelograms, the opposite angles are always going to be congruent. So if angle WZY is 99, then angle WXY would also be 99 degrees. To find the measure of angle XYZ here, we can remember that the consecutive angles in our parallelograms will be supplementary. So that would tell us that the measure of angle XYZ plus the measure of angle YZW would need to equal 180, right? These two angles need to add up to be 180 because they're supplementary. So the measure of angle XYZ plus 99 has to be 180. And now if I subtract 99 from both sides, then the measure of angle XYZ would equal 81 degrees. In our third example, we see a parallelogram, and we have to find the length of EJ and the length of FH. And so again, we're going to use the idea that these diagonals are going to bisect each other. So they're going to cut each other into 2 equal parts. So to find EJ, we can just realize that segment FH cut this diagonal EG into 2 equal parts, one of which is 5 over here. So that would mean that the length of EJ is also going to be 5. There's going to be 5 on one side and 5 on the other. Now to find FH, we can realize that JH would be 4. It'd be 4 because FJ is 4. And right, this diagonal, again, it got bisected by the other one. So it got cut into these 2 equal parts. So now the length of FH is going to equal 4 plus 4, or 8. And for the last example in this video, we're going to take a look at another parallelogram where we have to find angle NPQ, which NPQ would be this angle, and angle PQM, which would be this angle. Now, what I'm going to remember is that the measure of angle NPQ would be equal to the measure of angle NMQ. So this angle and this angle would have the same measure because they're opposite angles in my parallelogram. And likewise, the measure of angle PQM would be equal to the measure of angle MNP. So we've just said that this angle and this angle should have the same thing. So if we can find the measure of each of these angles, then we'll actually have our answers to these questions. And we'll notice that those two angles are consecutive angles. So that means that the measure of angle QMN plus the measure of angle MNP should come out to equal 180. This angle plus this angle should equal 180 because the consecutive angles in our parallelogram should be supplementary. So now if I substitute 3t plus 14 and 9t minus 2 in for those angles' values, then I have an equation that I can solve. I'm going to combine my like terms here and get 12t, combine my like terms here and get plus 12 and say that equals 180. I'm going to subtract 12 from each side, so now I have 12t equals 168. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 12, and t would equal 14. So now that I know that t is 14, I know that the angle down here is going to be equal to 3 times 14 plus 14, which would be equal to 3 times 14 is going to give me 42, and 42 plus 14 would give me 56. So this is 56 degrees, which means that this is 56 degrees. So angle NPQ is 56 degrees. Angle MNP up here is going to be 9 times 14 minus 2. And 9 times 14 is going to give me 126. 126 minus 2 is 124, which is also going to be angle MQP or PQM. So that's my other answer in this problem.